All right, everyone, welcome back. HSBC podcast, Dave Mormon, your host. I'm joined today, very special guest, Mr. Joshua Weaver from CJ's Window Cleaning. Josh, how are we doing this fine Thursday, my man?
Doing great, doing great. Really excited to be on the podcast with you. I've been a listener for a long time and I've consumed a lot of your content over the years, so I'm super excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, sweet, man. It's kind of a special moment. We certainly don't bring all our clients back on, but you and I had been chatting on Facebook the last little bit. You've been sharing your story to me, and I said, "Man, we got to turn around and get you, propped up in front of all our listeners." So it's probably pretty cool that you listened so many years, and now you get to get featured.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've probably listened to your content for almost five years, I would say, or close to. So a
Wow.
really large part of our journey, and it's been super helpful. So we're really grateful for that and excited to be a part of it.
Sweet, man. 5 years. That's how old is the business now?
So next month we will turn 7 years old. Our journey was probably very similar at the beginning to a lot of people. We weren't full time. I have a 50-50 business partner, maybe something that makes us quite a bit different than a lot of your guests for sure. But I do have a 50-50 business partner. We started together. I think one of the most interesting parts of our journey is that we only knew each other for about 6 weeks before we started our business together. We worked in car sales, and I worked in car sales for about 10 months, and he worked there for about 2 months. So he decided really quickly it wasn't for him. I did kind of like it. I didn't love car sales, but I loved selling. I love talking to people. I thought it was like the perfect career for me. But essentially our bosses sent us to a sales training together about 2 hours away from the city we lived in. And we stayed there, stayed in a hotel, just got really close. Like we went out and partied that night. It was in a college city and it was kind
Yeah.
of crazy, but we came back from that sales training and we were super motivated, like really just wanted to work really hard for about a week. And
Yeah.
then we started to talk more and more about like doing something on our own and doing something a little bit different just because of so many things that came along with the car business and just things we didn't want to be a part of forever.
Mhm.
And we were both pretty young at this time. I think I was 20 years old and he was 22. And we were a little bit early, a little bit before like TikTok window cleaners and all that stuff
Sure.
that kind of came about during that time. So it was a little bit crazier at that time to just quit your job and do something like that than I think it is maybe now. But essentially, I quit on a Friday and he quit the next day. And we just started cleaning windows, posting on Facebook and trying to get as many clients as possible. But once we got rolling on that, reality set in that there were bills to pay and we had things to
Mhm.
do, and it wasn't going to be as easy as we thought it was going to be. So we both, for the first year or so, kind of took part-time jobs and did work in other areas too, but kind of kept this going on the back burner.
Mhm.
And then I think after about 6 or 7 months, he went back to doing this full time. Just it was a better opportunity for him. He lived at home with his family, so he didn't have to make as much money. And then
Mhm.
about 6 months after that, I went back to doing it full time. I think it was August of 2020, I want to say, is when
Okay.
we both started full time. So, uh,
Cool.
yeah.
No, man, that's a crazy progression. It's funny you guys came out of car sales because actually so did so did Landon, our growth advisor. And yeah, there's a lot of good to learn from there, but there's also kind of the underside of the world, and there's like some ethical things going on in the used car business, which is tough as a salesperson. To have full belief in your product, it's tough to sell if that gets in an ethical gray area. So that's cool. You guys learn sales. I think the other thing, man, is you got started when you're young, and I think that's a key one too. Like you'd be 27 now, is that right?
Yeah, I just turned 28 2
Okay.
months ago. So,
Cool. So, and the fact that you've had your 20s basically, you're not married right now, no kids, is that right?
nope, just married to the
Just
business.
yeah, so it's like, man, when you have that, And no disrespect to those owners that are married and family men, family women, because it's just a different reality. So, I think you look at, like, we'll hear about your growth in a second, but you look at how quickly you guys have grown this business, I think is one, how ambitious you guys are, but also I think the stage of life has lent it itself well that you guys can just go pedal to the metal. So maybe go, it's a tough question to answer, Josh, but maybe we got kind of where it started. Tell us a little bit about, I want to hear about kind of the early years, like 2020, 2021, 2022. At what point were you like, holy crap, this is actually like a legitimate business now?
It's funny that you say that because maybe this is kind of like my own imposter syndrome or something, but I never really feel that way. I feel like there's always so much work to do. There's so much that we need to accomplish before I'll feel like this thing is really where it should be. I do think when we hit the seven-figure mark, that was probably the first time where I kind of like sat back and actually went like, wow, this is pretty crazy. I would have never guessed we would have gotten here when we first started. Like that was never a goal of ours. Like when we first started, our goal was to make enough money to pay our bills, and then our goals became to hire people, and then our goals kept shifting as we grew. So I never really had time to like focus on the bigger picture beyond what today's challenges were bringing, just because we were really in the business. But yeah, it was the early days were tough for sure at the very beginning. But when I look at it, man, it was the most fun because every day we'd wake up and I'd just be like super excited to work as hard as I could for this thing. And I think the interesting thing about us too is you mentioned like not being married. Well, Colton is married and he does have kids. So I've always gotten to see like the different sides of it. He's been a rock star. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does this stuff and manages a family the way he has, especially at a younger age. But it's been really cool to get to see both sides. But in those early days, I was just obsessed. So it was easy for me. I've
Yeah.
always kind of been that way with any work you put in front of me. I'm going to excel, just not because I'm the smartest person in the room or anything, but I just work really hard. And that's what I did in car sales. And it was easy to do the same for our window cleaning business because I felt so excited that it was finally for something that, had limitless potential and it was really our thing to do.
It's so cool, man. It's cool too. Like you're late 20s now and you own an asset, right? Because you worked your butt off through your 20s. And I think a lot of guys, they're hardworking, great, but they may get to the end of their 20s and they might own a high paying job making, a couple hundred grand a year working for a company. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's tough to beat the benefits that come from being your own boss and being an entrepreneur. And neither of us are saying it's easy, but I do think the juice is worth the squeeze when you get to 28. You've hit $1 million, you've got structure, you've got options now, like we were chatting before the call of like, where do you want to take this thing? So I just think it's pretty cool to reflect and look back what you built and now what you own. Can you tell the listeners now, Josh, the company structure as much as you want to share? Like you mentioned, you guys hit 1 million, which is incredible. Who's the managers? Do you run two-person teams? What does that look like? Are you pressure washing? Is it more window cleaning? Let's just kind of nerd out with the structure for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I do want to say about the benefits that I always think about that maybe people don't realize as much. The biggest benefit I ever got from this business had nothing to do with money or time or anything. It was that I basically grew up with this business. Like I went from my early 20s to my late 20s. I'm a different person because of this business. Like it's taught me people skills, just work ethic, everything you can possibly imagine. And that's why I think it's like a great thing to start a business when you're young, just because it will force you to gain those skills.
Yeah, no, that's totally well said. That's what it's about, man. Adding those skills to your tool belt.
But about the company structure, so like I mentioned earlier, we are a two-owner company, Colton and myself. That's how we came up with CJ's. Not the coolest name ever, but it's ours. And then we do have an office manager and well as well. We hired her, I think, in August of last year. So she's been with us for a little while now. That's our first office manager we've ever had. Best hire we could have ever made. Best thing to ever happen to me.
Who was running the office before you hired her? Because you're doing a lot of revenue for just hiring an office manager.
Yeah, that would be me. So,
Okay.
I mean, I would answer phone calls, texts, emails. I'd send sometimes 25, 30 quotes a day while
Wow.
also being in the field sometimes. And I wasn't in the field all the time before her. But like if you look at 2024, we did about 500,000 in revenue,
Mhm.
and I was on the truck every single day, and I would work after work, and it was
Wow.
crazy. So don't recommend doing it that way if you don't have to, but that's just kind of who I was. Like I wanted to be really involved at the beginning, and it was kind of my baby. So
So you guys jumped from 500K to a million in the last year.
2 years, two
In
years.
two
So
years. Okay,
we
cool.
doubled
Cool.
in 2 years. So we
Wow.
joined your program having done just 500,000 the year prior, and then we went up to 750 the year we joined your program, and then a million the next. So
It's amazing, man. What a great growth, sustainable, like yet aggressive growth as well, which is exciting. So you've
yeah.
got office manager now hired. Let's talk about the teams, who's in the field. How do you set that up?
Yep. So Colton's role is essentially kind of like a production manager. He's kind of more in charge of the technicians, training, making sure that after the job, the quality was good. If there's anything they need to fix, that's kind of his side. And I've kind of moved more into a sales role. And that's kind of where I think I want to focus on in 2026. So we have kind of sales, production, and then office manager there. She's doing a lot of the quotes and day-to-day stuff. And then below that, we just have five technicians. We have something, I don't know if other people do it this way, but we've always kind of said that if you're in the business, you're a lead technician. We don't have room for any technicians at CJ's. Like we want everybody to be able to do everything and do it well. So we only have five of those right now, I believe. We'll probably gear up a little bit now that we're in spring,
So
but
single crews then, and just killers only, only studs.
only killers. Yep.
That's awesome. You have a very similar business model to a fellow in my coaching group. Jason is in Tacoma, Washington, and his techs will make his best tech made almost 100 grand this last year. Like just like literally no help, no room for helpers. We're only taking the best.
Yep, yep. And I think we're still improving in those areas. But yeah, I mean, every single guy that we have can pretty much do everything unless they're like just really good at something and we want them to focus on that. Like I have one guy who's just like an absolute wizard at washing. I don't want him doing really anything else just because we have enough to keep him busy with washing. Obviously, he can do other things if we need it, but that's what we like to have him focus on. And then I've got another guy who's just a crazy window cleaner, way better than I've ever been, can do anything with a pole, can get on any ladder. And so he kind of focuses on that. But yeah, we really like our technicians to be able to do it all. So
Okay, no, that's amazing. So we got five solid techs, and they're all returning for this next season, 2026.
yes, I will say our employee retention has been pretty miraculous for being at 7 years. We have added a technician pretty much every year and I've only fired, I think, two people in 7 years.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
think we've only had maybe three people quit, three or four.
Wow. So people are
So
sticking around. They like the culture. That's great, dude. That's credit to you and Colton as owners. I know the question all the listeners are thinking, revenue per day per truck, and two, are we a performance pay company, or are we hybrid, or are we salary? How do you set that up?
So our technicians do make an hourly pay. I really, I believe performance is probably better in a lot of ways, but in our area, it seems that people are more trusting and with the hourly pay. Our technicians do make a lot in tips though as well. As you know, with Jobber, all of our customers are being prompted to tip. They get cash tips as well. Average technician at CJ's is probably with tips making well over $30 an hour.
Solid. That's great.
Most of them are making like a 24 to $26 an hour base pay plus
Yeah.
tips. So it might even be higher than low to mid 30s for some of them.
Mhm.
And they get those tips paid out quarterly.
Mhm.
Um, but and then sorry, what was the other part of that question?
Roughly revenue charged out per truck per day.
So it depends on the service for sure, but we really like each technician, and they're all on their own for the most part, to produce around $1,000 per day. If it's a two-person crew, just 2,000. And that is a little, our area is a little tougher in our type of company to go higher than that because we are primarily a window cleaning business. So we definitely don't do as much washing as window cleaning. However, we've every single year grown the washing side more and more, and we look to continue to do that. And we try to upsell that service as
Mhm.
well. But in general, most of our technicians, we like them to make around $1,000 per day per
Yeah.
technician.
No, man, that's a solid business model. I mean, if about 300 bucks, give or take, is going to the lead tech, and the company's left with a 70% gross profit margin to power the business. If you're doing, 5 grand a day billing and putting 70% of that for the company to run, like that's a pretty stellar business model. It's funny too, man. I think sometimes we build profitable business models with one service. And then I did this with Revive. You start thinking, because my background was painting. I'm like, man, when the day comes, we plug in painting, we're going to just blow up. And it helped a little bit. But I always found in my journey, adding more services, it's like good in the short term. But after a while, sometimes you can lift your head and be like, man, it actually creates like a lot of operational complexity. Like I'm just thinking of your business in the next 2 years. Like, what would it take to put window cleaning van, truck 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the road? I take the washing as it comes, but it's just funny that I think you've got a really good prototype business model now that you can scale. And as much businesses as I get to peer into and coach, I do really like the one person tech model if you can make it work in your area with safety regulations, etc. I
Yeah.
think that's excellent.
Absolutely. And safety is a big part of that. We kind of follow the model. Somebody else that I watched on your show or during the time that we were in your program told me this, but if a job for like window cleaning is over, let's say $500, we'll probably send two technicians to that because usually those kind of houses are going to have like ladder work inside, things like that
Yeah.
would be safer. That's not always the case. It is case by case. Like those bigger jobs and things like that, we always prioritize safety. But anytime we can, we're going one person crews.
No, that's super great. All right, real quick break in the show. If you're thinking, hey, Dave, this all sounds good, but how do I actually build a business that doesn't rely fully on me? You are in luck. I just finished authoring this bad boy here. This is called Get Off the Truck, and it is an Amazon bestseller. And the reason for that is because it's a practical guide. I cut all the fluff, and this book right here, it's going to show you exactly how to build a profitable home service business that doesn't rely 100% on you. I'm going to show you how to put systems in place, how to market for more jobs, and how to build a team of rock stars. And I only know how to do this because I spent 17 years growing multiple home service businesses. And not just that, I've spent the last 6 years now coaching over 500 entrepreneurs how to do the same. So it's available in paperback, it's available on audio. Go get my book, Get Off the Truck. And without further ado, let's get back to the show. I want to shift gears a bit, Josh. 2026 is coming out around springtime. Marketing, dude, like for you to go 500, 750, a million, even building up to that 500K, if you look back at your 7 year journey, and let's say I only gave you 3 options you could invest for marketing as an owner, what would you advise the listeners, at least in your market, that work? Because all marketing, I think, can work, but which ones did you guys go pretty hard at that you saw good benefit from?
Which ones did we benefit from in the beginning and have
Let's
spent?
do the beginning first, like kind of that 0 to 500K. First, talk to that listener.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I learned from you, but we did not spend any money on Google or Facebook ads until we were well past the 500,000 mark. And to be honest, we pretty much got to 1 million without doing any
Wow.
of that ad spend. We just never really, maybe this is owner operator error, but we just never had that good of luck when we would try it. We didn't really trust a professional for it at the time. And like we were like margins are thin at the beginning. We're trying to accomplish a lot. Like I feel like we can get better results from asking our current clients if they know anyone that needs this service done, upselling our current clients other services, or putting up yard signs, putting up door hangers, some of those low budget opportunities to get your name out there. And then
Mhm.
just we utilized the heck out of social media, especially at the beginning. I mean, every single day we posted on every single thing we could, shared in the groups as much as we could. We did everything for free that we could for the first 5 or 6 years. And we pretty much got to probably 750,000 a year without any legitimate ad spend at all.
Wow, just organic social media.
Yes. Yeah,
What, let's go
organic.
deeper on that. What's like Facebook, Instagram? What did posts look like? Just, I know it's kind of hard without showing visually, but for the listeners, what would that kind of look like?
Right. So one thing I have really honed in and focused on, I think with social media is a lot of people when they first start, and even us at the beginning, they just have the wrong idea about what a social media post should look like. They're posting like just a picture of tracks that are clean or a window that's clean or their equipment. And it's like that's not really what clients get excited about. That's not what they want to see. They want to see, in my opinion, real people doing real work. And I think the engagement on social media is like 10 times higher whenever there's a real person in that photo.
Mhm.
And so we like to show our actual technicians doing actual jobs. And so the people can see who they be working with. We really focus on how local we are, that we're not a franchise, those kind of things,
Mhm.
that we grew up here, live here, work here, those kinds of things. So I think a lot of people spend a lot of time on the wrong kind of social media and they focus on the wrong things. As you know, like every guy that starts a pressure washing company thinks that they have to have the best pressure washer. It's the same with
Yeah.
social media. Like it's not the best before and after. Those things are great and they can be helpful, but I don't think that really builds like a brand. Just showing a
Yeah.
house that's clean, and I think having a brand was super important for us to get where we are now. And we're still thinking about that all the time, how we can improve our brand.
Yeah. So well said, man. I look at a company like yours, Ryan Batts with Teacher Under Pressure, Jackson, Mount Baker Window Cleaning, Nick Presenhammer, Gladiator Pro Wash. Like we've got this like select group of cleaning businesses that have hit that $1 million mark and beyond. The marketing always runs back to the brand that got built. And that's something, man, that's sustainable too, right? If you took 150K and tossed it into Meta this year and booked 400K from it to stack on, fine. But, if you're not consistently doing that, it's not really this like long tail strategy. It's more of this like slot machine or almost trading Meta dollars for leads. And it's not super sustainable. So the way that you've built organically, I just think is better for the long term. Like how much of your top line revenue do you guys commit to marketing roughly? Like what percent is kind of that sweet spot for you guys? I'm
Like
guessing low, but what is it?
uh, it's probably like less than 3%.
Wow. Yeah. So that's exactly the point, man. You put, let's call it 25K in, 2.5% to book $1 million. Now, yes, that didn't happen in 1 year. It
Right.
takes time to build. But man, you now look at this beautiful season of 2026 and you've got all these people you've serviced that are loyal to you and your brand that if you and I just sat on a podcast all year, you'd probably have 800 grand of that come back in the next year just because they know and love and trust the brand. And that's why we want to
Right.
move those then long term to service plans because then they're super, super sticky. But I just think Meta's great. There's a time and a place, but man, until you tap out that organic market, it's pretty exciting. Like I'd almost be like, what if you didn't do ads again this year? Like, do you think you could keep growing it with your strategy?
If we didn't do ads, absolutely. I think we would continue to grow. I think last year we grew around 30%.
Mhm.
And so I think if we could continue to grow at close to a rate at that, I wouldn't really need ad spend. I do think that we have bigger and loftier goals as we go down the road. So using some of those things will help, but not necessary for sure.
Yeah, it'll be something to look at long term. It's interesting. A friend of mine and a guest on the show, Dan, runs a company the other side of Canada, and they cruised in about $6 million last year, window cleaning, and they also do deck staining. And he's just taken on paid ads into his like lane, and it's actually really cool on his Instagram. He's documenting like ads he's doing and the return he's getting on Meta. But I'm like, man, to roll into 6 million and just get serious about ads, like that's kind of the gap we're talking about that I think a lot of people hit 100, 200K in their market. They're not great on social. They're not very good at sales. Their brand's like a 5 out of 10 at best. And they're like, well, I might as well wire up my card on Meta or go work with an agency. And then they complain that the return's not there. And then they jump to the next thing. So I just think it's cool. 7 years in, you're like, dude, the brand is the marketing. This is what we do on social, and we just continue to nurture it. I think growing a business is much like tending to a garden. You just show up to it daily and you grow the brand, and don't expect this like silver bullet on Instagram.
Absolutely. I mean, if you go into our local Facebook groups and you ask for a window cleaner, if there's 15 comments, 10 of them might be us in our
Mhm.
area. So I think those kind of things are way more important than paying for ads. And let's be honest, how many of the kind of people that are starting window cleaning companies are starting them because they have 100 grand in the bank and that's what they really want like to start?
Yeah, like
Um,
none.
Yeah, like none. That's not how I started. We started by spending $150 at Lowe's, the hardware store. So I don't think that most window cleaners have that kind of money to start, and I don't think that's why they're starting. So learning to do things organically and doing everything for free that you can at the start is definitely invaluable.
Totally. Couple more for you, man. Talk to me about like this has been a common problem, even years way back when I got going. We call it the $99 guy, right? And it's really normal in pressure washing, especially in window cleaning. It's almost like the Josh Weaver of 7 years ago getting started, 150 bucks, boom, you've got a business. So how do you safeguard now your marketing efforts against competitors flooding into you're in Iowa, right? Des Moines, you say it
Yes.
right? Des Moines, Iowa?
Des Moines.
Des
Yep.
Moines. Okay. Teach
Yep.
this Canadian how to talk. So I want you to comment on, do you see the market changing locally with more competitors? And two, as a seven-figure business owner, how do you change your marketing mindset, or do you even worry about these $99 bucket bobs coming in?
Do I think we should change our marketing mindset? No. I actually think the best thing you could do when it comes to the $99 guy is forget they exist as soon as you possibly can. And don't worry about what anyone else is doing in their business or charging for their business. Because in my experience over the last 7 years, worrying about what other people are doing, especially in your own service area, is a complete waste of time. Like, if you want to study people and see if maybe they're doing something better than you, I get that. But worrying about the $99 guy is just a complete waste of time. You should have, especially in the beginning, you should have so many things that are so much more important to do and accomplish and work on that that shouldn't even be something that you think of. And honestly, with the $99 guy, it's hard for me to hate on them, to be honest, because I think back to those early days and we were probably that person that was coming in and that was too cheap. And I just kind of look at it like this. They're either going to learn to raise their prices and do things the right way, or they're not going to be there for very long. So I really
Mhm.
try not to think about the $99 guy. And in our market, we've definitely seen a lot of new people come into the market. We've seen some franchises come into the market, and we've seen just like chuck in a truck people coming as well too. But I've continued to see our business grow, and it hasn't slowed down at all. In fact, the last 2 years we've grown more than each of the years prior. So I just really don't think you should waste your time or mental energy worrying about those kind of competitors. Maybe worry about the ones that are doing better than you and worry about
Sure.
what do they know that I don't know, but don't worry about those people that are just starting out.
Where are you guys in the market as far as like size? I'd imagine you're among the top players, but are there companies that are doing 2, 3, 4 million bucks in your area?
Yeah, so I actually know this question very well because on my whiteboard in my office, it's got every single company that I would consider to be in the top 10 of
Mhm.
companies in our area and where I think we fall on that. We do have a company in our industry that has been around for 65 years.
Wow.
They're very big. They definitely do the most revenue. I
Mhm.
wouldn't call them the best company personally, but they definitely do the most revenue. They do a lot of the downtown high-rise stuff, and they've just been around for so much longer than anyone else that they've got plenty of work to do.
Sure.
But I have heard that things are kind of moving this way
Mhm.
instead. But then we've got a couple other companies. We've got a cleaning company that also has a window cleaning division, and they're pretty big. I would
Mhm.
say that they're probably the second biggest company. And then I would say somewhere for us, we're somewhere in that third, fourth, or fifth
Cool.
place.
Nice.
There are a couple companies that are definitely doing over 1 million. Most of them have been around for at least like 5 years longer than us,
Okay.
or they're attached to a much larger company like the cleaning one.
I'll put you on the spot, man. I could go on ChatGPT, but I'm going to ask you, do you know the population in Des Moines?
The Des Moines city itself is probably around 280, 290,000 if I had to guess, but we have
Okay.
a lot of suburbs that are directly attached to that. So like my city, I live in a town called Ankeny. It's a suburb of Des Moines. There's
Mhm.
73,000 people here, and
Okay.
this is the second most affluent, I would say, town that we have in our area. The first would be West Des Moines, and there's
Okay.
also about 73,000 people there. And those are the two towns we actually do the most work in, not
Yeah, that's where the ballers live.
yeah, the ballers
Yeah.
live there. The gated communities are in West Des Moines, and then
Mhm.
like Ankeny, the town that I live in, is just a lot of like that upper middle class.
Cool.
And so those two towns are where we do the most work. Des Moines, we actually, I would say, is like third or fourth on our
Okay.
list.
No,
Um,
that's great. That's great. I mean, you've clearly sometimes it's intentional. In my case, I planted our flag in I'm in a fairly large area, 600,000, but the town that I chose to focus on is about 100,000, called South Surrey, and it's right off the highway. And in a 45-minute drive, you can get to downtown Vancouver, where a lot of the affluent work, but they live in this kind of nestled town of South Surrey. And we just planted our flag there and ripped it with organic marketing. I first did it with a painting business, so I knew like all the good areas. And then when I rebuilt and launched Revive, I knew exactly where to go. So it's just like I'm always interested in the data. And I'm kind of a nerd for affluent residential areas because it's just been 17 years of my life. And it's funny you say you've got like your poster board mapped out. For me, I would map out, Josh, our whole area of South Surrey, and I'd be like pinning it. This was before Google Maps. I'd pin it where we knocked, where we're going to knock. I'd study household income, what cars they drive. Like my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, I went so deep on the ideal client avatar. She's like, this is borderline like psychopath, like worrisome that you know everything about where the kids go to school. But I'm like, when I can think like my customer, my marketing just gets so powerful. And I think that's super cool that I don't think you can go deep enough in studying your area and just being an expert and a student of it. Because in sales, you just turn into a savage with an in-person quote when you know everything, how that person thinks about their purchasing decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing where your ideal clients are is huge. And as you probably remember or might remember, we did open like a second location per
Mhm.
se in the West Des Moines area so that we could really start to hit that area even harder as well. Just because
Mhm.
we feel like we do miss out on it. It's about 30 minutes from us.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
smart.
not
Because
far, but we're missing out on Google traffic for sure.
Yeah, and the thing too, man, in marketing is when people do live in an affluent area, they almost wear it like a badge. Like people where we are in South Surrey, they're like, "Oh, I live in, I'm part of the crew." So it's like as marketing, you can really brand it like we are West Des Moines, top window cleaner, most trusted window cleaner,
Yeah.
highest reviewed window cleaner, etc. And so I think when the day comes, you do look at ads, you could do some pretty cool location call outs with that is awesome. A couple more for you, man, just to stay on track with our schedule. I want to hit mentorship and I want to hit delegation. So let's go mentorship first. So you told me you nerded out on my podcast for years. You waited till you hit 500K to join us. How do you see mentorship in putting money in to almost shortcut time? Because right now what's going on is you and I could both go on to Claude or Manus or ChatGPT and almost get told how to grow the business. How did you look at getting mentored and paying for mentorship versus getting free mentorship? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first thing I would say is Chat GPT is not going to hold you accountable if you don't do something that you're supposed to be. So I think like having real people that are in your corner is a huge part of the coaching program, and just knowing that you can rely on those people. I think that's a huge part. But for us, it was a no-brainer. Paying somebody to guide us through that stage of our business and making sure that we button up these loose ends, because we already kind of knew marketing when we joined your program. We kind of knew the basics. Like we already had a pretty good foundation, but we felt like there were a lot of things that like maybe there were still holes in the wall, water was coming out, and we just needed to plug those things before we went to a million. And otherwise, we knew those headaches were going to be much, much worse. So I think having that guidance was just huge for us. And Jackson, yeah,
Yeah.
Jackson definitely. I thought I was super excited on the first call to get on and just talk to him. And he honestly kind of kicked my butt the first call and was like, "You need to get this stuff fixed. Otherwise, you're gonna have all these problems. Like, I can't believe you're already this far along and you're doing this
Give
good
me give me
stuff."
an example, man. You mentioned like holes in the bucket. Give me one or two clunky systems.
Well, for sure our pricing,
Mm,
because we had to learn that on our own at the beginning, and it was just kind of like it wasn't a real system for pricing, which eventually became really important with hiring an office manager. But just kind of having that, it was Colton and I pricing the jobs every time. We'd look at a house and we could pretty much
mhm,
just tell you what the price would be. But that also when you put pricing in an area, a psychological area where one day you might be here and the next day you might be here. That's not very sustainable. And as soon as that calendar, for example, gets a little light, you're all of a sudden you're pricing things
mhm.
cheap. You're selling yourself short, and you're creating all sorts of problems down the road. So that was the biggest thing that we talked about was pricing for
Yeah,
sure, and strategizing for that for the long term.
sure.
So getting that stability and having that guidance was huge for that. That was when I look back at the program, that was the biggest difference maker for us.
How much did you guys go upstream with your pricing? I'm curious, like percent wise, roughly, if you look at the last couple years too.
I would say so right now versus just a few years ago,
Yeah.
some of our things are probably double.
Yeah.
Um,
Sweet.
but I would say another big thing we talked about was average ticket. I think that
Mm,
that was huge when I talked to Jackson the first time, because we were at like a $320 average ticket when we
mhm,
started.
mhm.
And we're still working on that, but last time I looked, it was close to 600.
Nice. That's awesome
It
for
was
window
a
cleaning. That's
huge,
really good. Yeah.
yeah, huge difference for us. So that was a big part of the pricing was, and then our strategy for putting services together and
Mhm.
creating higher ticket items. So
Sure. No, man, that's super good. I want to hear on like delegation too, because I think no one gets to a million without a team. And it's kind of this like favorite quote I put in my book too. And that is the hustler has to die so the leader can be born. So I'd love to hear your comments on what went into almost thinking about the business different, that it's not just Josh and Colton, but we're now a team, we're a family, we're building a culture. How did you look at team development and actually building something bigger than you guys? Do you mind giving us a few gold nuggets, how you think about that?
Yeah. So culture is one of those words that I kind of struggle with personally, just because to me it does come off a little bit cheesy, to be honest. And I don't like to think about it in some of the ways that people talk about it. But I really think culture just starts with who you bring in. And for us, we've always wanted to come to work and work with people that we want to work with, people that I would hang out with after work, people that I would go bowling with or whatever. So for us, culture wasn't something that we really created ourselves. We felt like our culture was created by just finding the kind of guys that we wanted to work there and letting them kind of push that forward. Because I really do think that our culture is just the guys that clean the windows for us. They kind of created it on their own. Like we're just letting them continue to be great technicians and great people. And we're here to help them in any way that we can. But we want them to enjoy working with each other. And that's always been super important to us. We've always said that, like, I'm not going to let you go if you break a window, but if everyone at the job hates working with you, that's probably what you should be worried about. So
Mhm.
we've always really we've had great technicians be horrible coworkers, and we've kept our standards high in those areas. So
Mhm.
I think that our culture has just really been driven by the people we've selected to work with us.
Yeah, man. It's literally your product when you've got a service business is just your people. So, and that starts with you and Colton as the leaders, and comes through your people too. So that's pretty awesome to see. Last thing, man, is vision. If you had to crystal ball this thing into 2031, Josh is going to be 33 years old. What is the bit? Give it. Let's go visionary, man. What I always think this is cool. I had a young guy fly out to come to our summit and make a selfie video with me because he said in 5 years I'm gonna be 24. He's a young guy. He's like, I'm gonna hit $1 million at a 25% net. I'm gonna be 24, making 250 a year with a business running. So I think, maybe in 5 years, whatever you're gonna say, I'm gonna shoot this interview to you and be like, man, you did it. So what is it? What does that look like, man, in 5 years if you had to look forward?
Yeah, for 5 years from now, I definitely want to continue sustainably growing. I definitely want to continue to grow our team. I think, like, revenue wise, we should probably be somewhere in the 2 to 3 million range. One of our big goals that Colton and I have is to purchase a shop or build a shop,
Nice.
get out of leasing one. So you talked earlier in the podcast about, or maybe that was before we started recording, but having an asset.
Mhm.
And I think the next 5 years, I really want to focus on making this business a legitimate asset, and making it worth as much as it could be.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily have plans to sell anytime soon. I think it's definitely a possibility for us someday, but it's not our main focus. But I do really want to own something, to be like the anchor of our business. And
Yeah.
just thinking about what that could mean to us 10, 20 years down the road.
Yeah, no, man, that's super good. One of the guys I'm coaching, he got me onto this video, this YouTuber business coach. His name's Myron Golden. He's a super cool guy. Anyways, I was watching a video and he talks about you first building what he calls a fast money model, which would be your window cleaning business, right? Which is you guys went 0 to 1 million fairly quick. You keep growing. But like, let's get that thing ticking along, turnkey, well oiled, spitting off cash, right? And there's a certain point that an owner might not want to keep throwing every last dollar into that business. They might want to slide it and say, hey, Colton, what would be like a slow money model that would be smart? And in your case, that would be getting some dirt, getting a shop, whether you're buying a house with a shop or you're however you set it up. And that shop, you put in X amount and you get it running. That's now your slow money model that when we look 5, 7, 10 years in the future, just going to bed every night, that thing's going to go up in value and you're going to save on a lease. And so I just think it's really cool to end our chat on this, that you first build the fast money model, get the money going. At a certain point, you start sliding stuff over to a slow money model because, to grow this thing, I think exiting it for a nice sale price is like icing on the cake. I don't think that that necessarily needs to be the main goal. And I think a lot of owners are under the illusion they're going to exit their business for, $1 million plus one day. And that's not always a reality. So I just think you're smart to build the slow money model to kind of hedge against the future. But man, you might lift your head in 5 years and have a multi seven figure business, own real estate. You could then potentially shop your business and just see what it's worth, which could be like pretty exciting for both of you too. Cause you're both just like so young, dude, which is like time is just like so much more important than money right now in your life, which you've got on your side, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been really exciting for us. And I will say Colton and I definitely didn't have like the easiest upbringing, either of us. And so we've always just been extremely grateful to be in this position. So we've never felt like anything was owed to us. We had to go get it on our own. And I think we both still feel that way. So we don't think too far ahead. We just appreciate it and keep working hard, and that's all we really feel like we can do right now. So
No, man, that's super, super cool. Well, for listeners that want to reach out to you, Josh, without giving your personal digits, where would be the best place to see what you guys are doing, or maybe even have a chat with you?
yeah, absolutely. You can reach me personally at face on Facebook or on LinkedIn, Joshua
Cool.
Weaver. You can find us on Facebook, CJ's Window Cleaning. We have two pages on Facebook, so just reach out. Anything I can do to help, any questions I can answer, I'll definitely try to do that. But yeah, no, I've already got so many connections from people that have been through your program, and it's just awesome to see like Ryan Batts, I think
Yeah.
his name. We recently connected, and I just think what he's doing is super cool. So it's really
Yeah.
fun to get to see everyone else doing their thing too.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite things to do is when someone like you and Colton come through the program, you have good success, you hit $1 million, is me trying to make the connection of you to other HSBC members that are in that like select group or even people in my network. Cause there's not a lot of cleaning businesses like 1 to 5 million that, I mean, you can find them, but it's nice when you have that link that you guys hit 1 million. You talk to Ryan, he's going to be pushing 2 this year. You talk to Nick, who's pushing 2. It's like that's your next step. You could go learn from $100 million HVAC company, cool, but the takeaways are so much more meaty when you're just going to that next level versus like playing a whole new game. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, Josh. Well, we'll let you run, brother. You're quite a switched on entrepreneur, dude. You're probably among the most eligible bachelors at HSBC too, dude. $28 million business. You got your head on straight, and I'm just excited to keep seeing you guys spread your wings and grow this thing as far as you can, man. So thank you for inspiring our listeners for what's possible and getting them fired up for an amazing 2026, man. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, of course, Dave. Thank you for everything you've done for us.